I think that was the greatest gift my husband could ever give me, was being able to be a stay-at-home mom.
Hey guys, Chelsea from Attention to Details. Hey guys, Chelsea from Attention to Details.
Hey guys, Chelsea from Attention to Detail.
Hey guys, Chelsea from Attention to Details. 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 Hey guys, Chelsea from Attention to Details.
A podcast episode with a good friend of mine, Kristen. She was kind of asking me a bunch of interior questions, but a lot of people who are watching had questions about how I started my home-based detailing business. And years ago, I did a video when I was like maybe 3 years into my detailing journey. But we're now close to 10 years detailing out of my home, and I figured it's maybe time for me to update that video and share with you guys what it's been like detailing out of my home, some of the things that I've learned along the way. We kind of have to go back 9 years. My daughter is now 11, so she was 2 when I first started detailing, which if you're a parent with smaller children, you know that there's a lot of chaos that can come with toddlers. You've got nap times, you've got preschool pickups and drop-offs. My son was in kindergarten when I started, and my daughter was just kind of hanging out with me. I was blessed to be a stay-at-home mom. My husband worked for an HVAC company, and while it was providing for us, for me to be able to stay home with them, it didn't necessarily give us the savings that we needed to hopefully one day move into a bigger house. When we first got married, we had a 2-bedroom, 1.5-bath house with a carport, and it was perfect for our small family, but we knew we didn't want to stay there. Our kids are huge. We knew they were going to very quickly outgrow their space. They didn't want to share a room for the rest of their lives, being I have a son and a daughter. So we knew that we needed to save for a bigger house, but couldn't do that on my husband's income. I think that was the greatest gift my husband could ever give me, was being able to be a stay-at-home mom. I don't know if I've ever told him that. He busted his butt to provide for us, but I saw how tired he was. I saw how hard he was working, and I knew I couldn't put all that weight on him. So when I was kind of hit with the reality that I needed to get a job to help supplement the income, and also knowing that I didn't want to put them in daycare, I needed something that I could do from home. You know, back then we didn't necessarily have the job opportunities to work from home like we do post-COVID. At that time, it was maybe selling Tupperware or Mary Kay or cleaning supplies. But honestly, I like working with my hands. I was never afraid to, get a little sweat equity. I was talking to a neighbor one day about that, needing to work, struggling with figuring out what I wanted to do. And he's like, well, what do you enjoy? I said, I enjoy doing cars. I enjoy cleaning. He goes, why don't you detail cars? It had never really hit me before. I had done family and friends in ours, and I was always cleaning our cars. Even with small kids, I was always vacuuming, cleaning up their goldfish and their crumbs, because for me, I'm just more comfortable in a clean car. So we had an app called the Nextdoor app that he told me about, and he said it's like a community bulletin board, but it's virtual, and you can post your information on there and see if anyone takes you up on it. So I sat down and tried to come up with an idea of what I thought a detail should cost. Maybe went online, compared it to a couple other places that were cheap, and maybe just, doing it from home. And I figured I'm a female. I'm just starting out. I'm doing this from home. They're not going to want to pay me $40, $50 an hour. I figured if I make $10 to $15 an hour, pay for some of the supplies, that should be fine. I quickly learned that that wasn't enough because I think for the first detail that I did, I bought over $300 in supplies. It took me a few details before I actually was able to pay myself back for all the supplies that I bought. But I put together a rough idea of maybe full detail, interior, hand wash, what all that would look like. Had a few supplies that my husband had, and went to Walmart and bought a few supplies that I thought I would need. I mean, we're talking like Purple Power, Spray 9. I had one of the old-fashioned green turtle wax, like little buffers that had wool or red bonnets on it, that they're more for putting wax on a vehicle, but I was still polishing a car with cleaner wax. $75. Put that information out there and said, go with God. I didn't think anything would come of it. And before I knew it, I had 3-4 weeks worth of details. We're talking maybe 2-3 details a week, which for me with a kid in kindergarten and another with nap times who's sitting in a chair beside me with a Kindle watching Bubble Guppies. It was a lot. And honestly, looking back, I don't know how I did it. Between the constant stopping and starting to manage tantrums and pickup times and all of the things that come with being a young mom, somehow I got through it. I pushed through and was able to give my customers something that allowed them to recommend me and refer me and for me to just continue to get more and more business. So realistically, Nextdoor app was probably one of the most pivotal things for me to start growing my business, put my information out there. From there, I realized, okay, I need to tap into social media. So I started a Facebook business page, an Instagram business page, a Google My Business, really started focusing on before and afters, 50/50s, satisfying pictures, putting my pictures and information out there. Not only is that a cover my butt procedure, so that way the customer can't ever come back and say, you missed a spot, or, as far as damage, but it was great free marketing. Google My Business, really asking the customer to give me reviews, starting to focus on getting those reviews up. And before I knew it, I had consistent business. Once you start getting that consistent business and customers are paying you for services, that's where, okay, you are now a professional detailer. You need to register your business with the government so you can get an EIN. You need to go to a bank and register for a business checking account. Maybe getting a financial advisor to help you be able to understand all of the responsibilities with having a home-based detailing business. I'm not a financial advisor or business advisor, so I'm just sharing with you guys what worked for us. But those are some of the things that you have to think through when you are starting a home-based detailing business. You also have to think through, are you going to allow customers to wait for their vehicles, pickups, drop-offs? For me, I have a drop box outside my garage door. If the customer's dropping off after hours, if I'm not here, they can park their vehicle on the street. I also have security cameras outside on my front door and at my garage, so that way we have additional security. I do live in a great neighborhood. We don't have any sort of issues. I have great neighbors. I don't have HOAs that I have to think through, but there are things like noise ordinances and just being respectful of your neighbors that you have to consider. Not vacuuming at 6 a.m. in the morning or at 10 p.m. at night. I do try to limit my hours to 9 to 5 for the most part. One, because of kids and bus pickups and things like that, but also just being respectful of my neighbors. Even the tools that I use, I try to make sure they're not obnoxiously loud. So typically, unless it's a quick hand wash, they can hang out on my porch. I don't let customers sit and wait for the vehicles, but I've never had an issue where a customer says, I need to sit around and wait. Nowadays with Uber, with Lyft, they can drop their vehicle off. They can get an Uber or have a friend pick them up, drop them off. I am very flexible with pickups and drop off times. I'm not like, you gotta be here at 5. For the most part, I'm pretty flexible. We do have to make sure though, it's not like 9:30 at night and my kids are sleeping. I'm like in my pajamas. Those are some of the things though, as a business owner from home, you have to think through. You are also going to have people just randomly stopping by your house. So just making sure that your kids, your family, your neighbors are comfortable with that. I only have one vehicle at a time that I'm working on. If you want to have 2, 3, 4 vehicles, you have to consider your neighbors, your HOAs, your street policies, things like that. But for the most part, being able to work on one vehicle a day at my home has allowed me to be very successful. So when it comes to prices and packages, this is where a lot of people struggle with. And when I first started out, I was super, super cheap. We're talking $75 for a full detail. The best advice a detailer gave me one time when it comes to this is that if you're not happy with where your prices should be, every 6 months, raise your prices 15% until you get to where you need to be. Now, how do you know where you need to be? Number one, look at the market around you. What are other detailers charging? What are they bringing in? You don't want to be the cheapest. You don't want to be the most expensive, but you do want to compete with other detailers. Now, if they're a high-end shop, they've got like an amazing waiting room, etc. You might not want to compete with those people because obviously they have to pay for employees and the experience that that customer is going for. You might not necessarily need to charge that much. In fact, that might be more enticing to some customers that don't want to pay for that. There are those customers that they are going to pay a lot more just for the experience. They want to be able to say, I have so and so on my car. And for them, it's bragging rights. That's great. That's that customer. The customer that you are looking for is someone who desires quality work, but maybe for a more affordable price. That's where home-based detailing businesses can really shine. What's going to set you apart, though, is how you present yourself. So make sure that your home, your garage, is professional and clean looking. If you've got crap all over the floor, I've got kids with sports and bikes. It is sometimes a mess, but for the most part, I do try to keep my garage somewhat professional looking. It's a home. It's going to have some of the chaos. I could get a whole nother shed and put all that stuff in there. For me, it's not worth it. We have a lot of sports and stuff. So for me, that's where having a clean shop that looks somewhat presentable. We paid to have the floors epoxied resin. I paid to have better cabinets put in. Cabinets can hide a lot of the mess, but also I have ADHD. So if I have products that I need to use, sometimes I leave them out so I don't forget about them, because if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. But anyways, rabbit trail. When it comes to prices and packages, figure out what your market is charging. Then, once you figure out what tools and what chemicals you're using, figure out how much you're using. It doesn't have to be to the penny, but figure out at roundabout how much product you're using per detail. Then also figure out how much you need to pay yourself hourly to sustain your living. You also have to take into consideration taxes, plus also how many hours it's going to take to do that detail. As you become more efficient, you're going to understand, okay, an interior only should be 2 to 4 hours. A full detail is going to be 4 to 6 hours. A paint correction is going to be 4 to 5 hours. A ceramic coating is going to be 6 to 8 hours. So once you figure out tools, chemicals, hourly rate, taxes, that's how you determine prices and packages. They can be totally unique for you, but I would say still try to be somewhat consistent with what your market, not my market, is charging. Oftentimes, customers are going to be deterred from the cheapest person because that could equate to cheap work. And when you have low prices, you're going to get crappy customers. So if you can have a little bit better pricing, it will actually weed out some of those crappy customers that are just looking for the cheapest thing off on the market, and it will allow you to actually get better quality work, which therefore it's going to give you better before and after pictures. It's going to bring in better customers. So I know sometimes the tendency is, oh, you're nervous, you don't want to be the most expensive, but trust me, you do not want to be the cheapest detailer in the area, because you're going to end up hating what you do, because you're going to get a lot of crappy cars from customers just looking for the cheapest place possible. Raising my prices was the biggest leap of faith, but one of the best decisions I ever made. But I didn't go from $75 to $350 for a full detail overnight. That actually took a few years to slowly raise my prices every few months by 15% to get to where I'm at now. I really haven't raised my prices too much over the last few years. Even with this economy, I still feel like I'm able to make a really great living, because now I've really honed in on sharpening my processes and becoming really efficient. I know the products that I use, I know how to use them really well. And that's where I would say, when you know what works, why fix it if it's not broken? A lot of times we can try out products out there that can make us better, but a lot of times you just end up wasting money trying products. So that's where, again, I really challenge you guys. If you find a product that works really well for you, don't try to just invest in the next biggest thing, because it may not actually work, and then you're just kind of pissing away profit. Storage. Are you going to have kind of the plastic open shelving that you can pick up at Home Depot? Personally, I invested in the New Age cabinets. I got these from Car Supply's warehouse. They are powder coated stainless steel, fantastic, worth every penny. They have held up to all the weight and the chemicals that I have spilled on them. They look sharp, and just allow me to have that organization that I need. Another thing that people don't talk about, branding. So you could even go into something like Vistaprint. This is actually one of my business card, the logo just blown up and put onto a vinyl. So I have some sort of branding and signage to represent my brand. I used to have the Maguires and the Auto Fibers and all of any banners that were sent to me, they were plastered on my walls. But where was my brand? So Just something to think about. Another thing that you have to think about when you are detailing from your home is wintertime. I have a enclosed garage. My husband owns his own HVAC business now, and he actually installed a mini split. So that allows me to have heat in the winter, AC in the summer. I can control the humidity, especially for ceramic coatings. And actually, right here, you can see I invested in a kind of a reclamation mat, and that was a huge lifesaver for me to be able to stay open this winter. I don't have a drain and I don't have access to water in my garage. Some of you do. That's fantastic. You even have the Swiss tracks, things like that, to be able to wash cars inside your garage. I don't want to go that route. My walls are actually plywood. So washing a car inside my garage is just, I'm asking for mold and mildew issues. So I actually do a majority of washes in the winter just through rinseless washes. Using my mat, using a wet dry vac, I'm able to stay open in the winter time. But those are things that you have to think through as a home-based detailing business owner, is how are you going to manage those cold months? If you do not plan on staying open in the winter, stockpiling a reserve of finances while you're busy in the warmer months to be able to afford closing down in the winter. For me personally, this was one of the hardest winters I've ever had detailing. The stress of it was honestly, it was hard. It was one of the hardest winters I've had mentally, feeling like I was a failure, like I was doing something wrong, almost gaslighting myself. But a majority of detailers that I knew that live up north across the board were struggling this winter. I'm so thankful for the business that I was able to have, but that's definitely something you've got to think through as business slows down if you live up north. If you live down south, you are blessed. California, Florida, you're detailing year round. I mean, you got to deal with humidity and heat and all of those things. Those are just some of the things that you have to think through. Even washing a vehicle outdoors, I have a 13 by 13 pop up canopy that I can put up. I put cinder blocks on the legs to weigh it down so that way it doesn't blow away or hit a customer's vehicle. Making sure that in the wintertime, my driveway doesn't have ice on it so customers don't slip and fall on it. All of those things you have to think through as a home-based detailing owner. But personally, it's one of the best decisions that I ever could have made. I was talking to my son the other day. He's 14 and he's getting ready to enter high school. And we're starting to have those talks with him of, what do you want to do when you grow up? And he has no idea. And I'm challenging him to take his passions and to just pursue something along those lanes. Because if you do something that you're passionate about, it doesn't feel like work. I always enjoyed cleaning. I mean, I was a housekeeping supervisor at LBC. I loved a clean car. And I also loved teaching. When I first started out in college, I actually thought I wanted to be a teacher. To think that somehow God has ordained it, that I would be able to do something that I love, like cleaning cars, washing cars, and also teaching people on YouTube, blows my mind. To be able to see the hand of God and how He has opened these doors and allowed me to have these opportunities, it's nothing but God. So, for those of you, I would encourage you, if this is something that you are passionate about and you feel like this is an opportunity for you to be able to help support your family or provide some supplemental income, detailing is a great business to get into. But if it's physically challenging, it can be mentally challenging, and it can be financially challenging, especially reining in the desire to try the next big thing, especially if you have ADHD and impulse buying issues. But if you can kind of have the support system that you need to be able to do that, whether that's through spouse or family, that really is instrumental. I could not do this without my husband. He may not necessarily do the detailing with me, but he's holding down the fort with the kids, with dinner, helping me put stuff away, helping me make sense of finances and all of the things that come with managing a business. He has his own business and all of his stuff that he has to manage as well. But really having a good support system is instrumental. So hopefully this has encouraged some of you guys that maybe you've wondered, what is it like having a home-based detailing business? I started out in a carport, having to seriously shut down in the winter, even borrow my neighbor's garage just to be able to do some details, carrying boxes and boxes of products up and down the steps day in and day out. managing kids, preschool, nap times, all of those things. And somehow 9 years later, have been able to grow a sustainably profitable detailing business that grows year after year through word of mouth. Honestly, praise be to God. And if I can do it, you can do it. So hopefully this gives you some encouragement and some hope. If you have any questions about having a home-based detailing business, what it requires, I know there's probably so much more that I didn't touch on in this video. I think I did about 5 takes, and hopefully this take is the one that kind of encompasses everything that was on my mind. There's a lot, but it honestly is something that even if I don't retire from this, I'm going to look back on this period of my life and give glory to God for the way that He's provided and given me something that is so fulfilling. So thank you to each and every one of you who have followed, who subscribed all of these years on YouTube. We're not done yet. And I'm excited to see where this channel may go. And maybe in 5 years, I'm going to look back on this video and cringe on the one like I did when I was 3 years in. But yeah, be blessed. Believe in yourself. And you got this. Good luck, guys. We'll see you in the next detail.